I want to talk about the ETF that is my largest position, 30% of my entire portfolio as it sits right now. And I've gotten a ton of questions since I revealed my full portfolio last week. It is not the VOO, it is not the SCHD. It is an ETF that a majority of casual investors might have never heard of, but it has quietly outperformed the S&P 500 year after year after year. And the strategy almost sounds too good to be true. We're talking about the SPMO. This is the Invesco S&P 500 Momentum ETF. And in today's video, I want to break down exactly what it is, exactly how it works, and exactly why I do hold this as the largest position in my portfolio, and really hone in those risks that you need to understand before you ever invest in it. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the SPMO tracks the S&P 500 Momentum Index. I want to explain exactly what momentum means within this case, because this is a context that people might hear the word and really picture the day traders chasing these hot stocks. That is not what it is at all. The momentum factor in academic finance is one of the most well-documented return premiums in investing history. It is the empirical observation that stocks that have performed well over the last 6 to 12 months have a tendency to perform well over the next 3 to 12 months. Not forever, but just long enough to build a systematic strategy to capture the alpha and simply going above and beyond that S&P 500. The SPMO operationally, and it does this by doing something very, very specific. It takes the S&P 500 and the 500 large cap US companies, measures the 12-month return of those, excluding the most recent month, to reduce the short-term noise that we see in there. It adjusts for volatility, then it selects the appropriate top 100 stocks that score highest on the combined momentum metric. These 100 stocks make up the fund. We are not looking at the fundamentals of the company. It is not examining the dividends they're paying. It has been the winners that have been winning over the last year. The data says that winners, and they have been continuing to run. Now, the SPMO, looking at the live data, guys, the ticker symbol on this is the SPMO. The AUM on this, $12.6 billion in year. This is one of the largest factor ETFs that we have in the United States. Expense ratio 0.13, so still super low. Now, this holds 100 stocks. It does rebalance every 6 months, which we're going to be looking at. And of course, current technology sector is about 44%. So they really feels that looking at the run that we're seeing of tech is going to continue in the future. Now, the reconstitution in this does come in March and September, so we're not too far off. And let's take a moment and think about the reconstitution. Here's the part of the SPMO that I find genuinely fascinating, and most people don't fully understand it. It is the reconstitution process that this ETF goes through, and I want to spend a moment on the actual mechanics that makes the SPMO different than a VOO or any other S&P 500 ETF. Now, twice a year, like we had said, March and September, it is going to completely reevaluate its entire portfolio. All 100 stocks are going to be on the chopping block. It goes back to the S&P 500 universe, records and rescores every single stock based on that momentum metric that we just talked about. And it is going to rebuild the entire fund from scratch with a new 100 companies. In the most recent March constitution, 53 changes were made, which means 54% of the portfolio turned over in a single rebalance, which is incredible. The fund added a lot more tech exposure, bringing it up to that 44% of the entire portfolio, and reduced the financial sector weighting. I think really anticipation that Feds and the fund rate might not be reduced like we think. Every 6 months, it is going to adapt and change based on the momentum that it's seeing within that S&P 500. And this is why it matters for you and I as investors. The SPMO is not going to get stuck with yesterday's winners. If the semiconductor sector runs hard for the next 12 months, then completely stalls out, in the next reconstitution, it is going to rotate out of semiconductors in its entirety and right into whatever is going to be leading or having the most momentum next. The strategy is self-correcting by design. Every 6 months, we see changes. It follows leadership rather than creating loyalty to any sector or any given amount of time or theme. That is what separates this from a simple technology ETF or growth ETF, and changing and systematically changes based on what it is. That is the reason why sometimes we see this as a very heavy growth ETF. Sometimes it is a value ETF. It all depends where it finds the value and where it finds the momentum for what is coming. Now, let me give you the full bull case, which I love to do because I think looking at the data, it is compelling and deserves, and a reason why I do hold it as my biggest holding within the portfolio. SPMO has consistently outperformed the S&P 500 over a multitude of years. The historical data shows that it has captured more than 112% of the S&P 500 gains while only absorbing about 85% of the losses. This is a favorable asymmetry and the goal of every factor system that we have here. Even looking at the momentum factor itself that it carries, it has a very, very long track record of documenting and outperforming when it comes to finance, when it comes to investing. Going back to research back to the 1990s, it shows that momentum as a persistent return has a premium across the market and has really outperformed. Now, when we start looking at the AUM growth, it really tells you something. $12.6 billion in a factor ETF is kind of crazy, and this is not investors that are just chasing trends. Now, let me give you the honest bear case scenario because SPMO does carry some real risk, just like any ETF, and specifically how it works, and I want to make sure you understand it before you invest $1 in this ETF. Now, the big part of this, the momentum reversal risk. When market leadership rotates sharply out of the SPMO, it can lag significantly behind the reconstitutions. It holds yesterday's winners while tomorrow's winners are being built and haven't been added to the portfolio yet. Concentration risk. When we start looking at this ETF, it is 44% as of today exposure into tech, which means if you're big into the VOO or the QQQM, you could see a very significant amount of overlap. If there is a tech sell-off, it is going to hit the SPMO much, much harder because of the concentration than we see with the VOO. Now, of course, with the reconstitution, like we've seen, the semi-reconstitution or March and in September could hold declining stocks for the next 6 months, which could definitely, until it rebalances out, be a mitigating factor. And of course, it is not really diversified. When you look at the SPMO, every single stock in the VOO is going to be contained in there. When you start looking at the QQQM, it is going to add, again, a lot of those larger tech companies as we're seeing right now. And anytime they have any of those NASDAQ 100 companies within the SPMO, you're going to have a multitude of overlap. And then, of course, there is a little bit of a shorter track record. This was released in 2015, I believe, and it is limited data. We got about 11 years, but it has overall outperformed that S&P 500. Now, the reconstitution timing risk is definitely something to watch. There can be a period, probably at least once or twice every couple of years, that we see the momentum reverses sharply. SPMO will actually underperform the VOO for the next 6 to 12 months. That is because the portfolio has to reset through at least 2 reconstitution cycles. That is not a real reason not to own it, but it's a reason to size it appropriately in your portfolio and not expect linear performance every single quarter that we hold this ETF. Now, who is it really right for, and why do I own it as 30% of my portfolio? If your time horizon is 10 plus years, absolutely, momentum funds could be on your target. If you already own the VOO as the core, we talk about this quite a bit. If you're comfortable with the semi-annual, those every 6 months, having your portfolio actually change, holding it for 6 to 12 months at least, and if it does underperform, and of course, looking at the factor and the alpha factors that we have within the market itself. So then the question comes, and the one I want to answer, why 30% of the portfolio? There are 3 reasons. First, historically, momentum funds is really among the most robust when it comes to all of factor investing. I am not making a speculative bet. This is backed up by science. It is backed up by data. It is documented when you look at return premiums. Second, of course, the 0.75x, the PEG ratio right now tells me I'm not paying a super expensive evaluation like we're seeing with a lot of tech companies. And third, the reconstitution mechanics. I love how it is self-correcting. Honestly, unlike owning a single sector or a single theme like the SMH or the QTUM, it rotates to whatever is leading. It is adaptive, and it is really worth a significant allocation in my view, which is the reason why 30% is allocated there. Now, the 30% really comes from my risk. We talk about this a lot. When I broke it down in detail, when we went through Wednesday's live stream, 30 to 35% drawdown in the SPMO might be about 10% of the portfolio level that I have, and the upper boundary, or what I consider really manageable when you look at a single position in a core allocation. It is not a casual sizing. It is very deliberate in the performance of my portfolio and actually wanting to outperform the VOO, which I consider the baseline, the S&P 500, as a baseline for investing. So here's the bottom line, guys. When it comes to the SPMO, it is not a simple ETF, and it is not for everyone like we've talked about. The momentum factor is real. The historical outperformance is documented over the last decade, and the reconstitution really makes it a super adaptive ETF that factors most of the strategies, but the timing risks around reconstitution, technology reconstitution could build a lot of overlap in the absence of really a long bear market, which we know of the last 4 years we've seen double-digit growth, could give you legitimate concerns when it comes to this ETF. For my portfolio, it is the right size. I have roughly 20 years before I retire. There's a lot of really information and data that supports it, and my conviction and my timeline can go through the rough patches. I'm not worried if it does a drawdown. I will continue to invest in the SPMO just like my entire portfolio, and it is entirely dependent on your risk tolerance. I want to stress that depending on what you hold right now, where your risk tolerance is, and whether you understand exactly what you're buying when it comes to a momentum ETF, you have to understand. So of course, guys, drop a comment down below and tell me, do you currently own the SPMO, or are you holding any other factor ETFs I should be aware of? And if you do, what percentage of your portfolio is allocated to something like a momentum factor ETF? I read every single comment. I will reply to them. And of course, coming up on Wednesday is going to be the live stream. Bring all of your questions about the portfolio in the entirety. I will answer them live on Wednesday. And if it gave you something useful, guys, definitely subscribe to the channel. We are growing like crazy, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.